BMW reckons its all-new 7th generation 5 Series is so packed with new technology, it's actually more like a mini 7 Series, the brand's true flagship sedan. And that means we should take a closer look at one. And they tell me that if I hit this button here, my car should be starting. And they tell me if I hit this button here, one should be turning up any second now. And here it is now.
BMW's 5 Series range is now 45 years old, and this all-new model arrives in 4 distinct flavours, with a 5th, an incoming M5 performance model, still some way off. For now though, the range kicks off with the 520d, before stepping up to what BMW hopes to be the big seller of the range, the 530i, both of which get 4-cylinder engines. Next up is the biggest diesel, the 530d, before the range tops out with the petrol-powered 540i, both of which get 6-cylinder engines. And every 5 Series is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission as standard.
Okay, so the whole self-parking thing is actually a cost option and part of BMW's innovations package. It includes this display key, which allows you to maneuver the car out of tight parking spots without you actually having to be in it, and allows you to set the climate control in the car before you get in. It also includes a gesture control function, giving you some basic control over the stereo functions without actually having to touch any of the buttons, and that's a $1,600 package. But there's plenty of cool standard kit regardless of the trim level. Now we're in the 530D, which is the top spec diesel, so the interior is swimming with Nappa leather, the dashes are washed with beautiful materials and wood grain highlights, and there's this cool 12.3-inch digital display in the driver's binnacle.
The 5 Series also gets a head-up display that pairs with a camera that reads street signs as you pass them, then beams that info onto the screen. Every model also gets adjustable drive modes that allow you to alter the weight of the steering and the response of the throttle, while the more expensive models include dynamic dampers and an adaptive mode that blends driver inputs with navigation data to set up the car for corners even as you approach them, and that's pretty clever technology.
Now every 5 Series gets what BMW is calling its personal co-pilot, which is basically a set of tricky systems that work with the active cruise control and allow the 5 Series to be driven completely autonomously for spells of 30 seconds. Now it's not quite as advanced as some of its competitors' systems. It can't change lanes, for example, but if you're out on a country road or out on a highway, it'll stay within the lane, turn around corners and keep up with the traffic even if they stop in front of you. But there's probably a reason BMW is focusing so much on the technology aspect of this car, and that's because there's nothing particularly revolutionary about the way that it drives. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, and don't get me wrong, it does everything you could ask of a car in this bracket. It's smooth and quiet, the new chassis has done nothing to dampen enjoyment when you start to ask a little bit more of it, and it's generally a nice luxurious experience. But then so was the old car. Now, we've tested 3 models, 2 petrol and this diesel, and that has been over a fairly short period of time. So we'll wait till we get them for a longer period before we make any kind of definitive verdict, but so far we like what we see. But what they have done is pour all that technology into this, so much so that they refer to it less as a 5 Series and more of a mini 7 Series. And I guess in a way it kind of is. They also considered it the step between now and the future. And what they mean by that is a future where you can do this for longer than 30 seconds. To read the full review, click here, and don't forget to subscribe to stay on top of all our latest videos.